Dear friends, Namaskar. This is Vedyaraj Anil from New Delhi, India. And today I am going to explain to you a health issue that is becoming an epidemic throughout the world. And that is chronic wounds and ulcers. Non-healing chronic wounds and ulcers. You know by you know these by very many names like bedsores from stage 1 to stage 4 or 5, very big ones. Pressure sores, generally with people who are either paralytic or trauma accident cases, sitting on wheelchair, people get pressure sores. Actually, all bed sores are pressure sores, but all pressure sores are not bed sores, in the sense that pressure sores could be because of the wheelchair and so many other issues. Then you have got arterial and venous ulcers, that is right above the feet, you're right above your ankle, where people get those varicose veins. Then you have got diabetic ulcers, onto people getting gangrene because of those diabetic ulcers. And then you have got surgical wounds and ulcers, people who went into a surgery, the wound never healed. This non-healing chronic wound and ulcer industry has already become a $25 billion worth of industry throughout the world, maybe more. And it is going to double in its size in the next 10 years. Why? How to prevent yourself, how to cure yourself, everything, and why this thing happens. You have to understand the nitty-gritty, and you have to be very patient about what I say. You have to listen very patiently. It is better if you can make some notes. See, what happens is that we have to divide people who are suffering from these issues. These are not diseases. That you have to keep in mind first. A chronic wound, non-healing ulcer, they are the same thing. You can call them a wound. Once it becomes chronic, you can call it an ulcer. So these chronic wounds and ulcer by itself is not a disease. Keep that in mind. It is the result or the culmination of certain diseases and procedures. You have to keep that in mind, that it is not a disease. Wound is never a disease. Now, when I say that it is a result or a culmination, I'll explain a little later. See, it happens to two kinds of people, One is young people and the other is elderly people who are like, 75, 80 plus. Now, in the case of young people, it happens because of them becoming immobile due to trauma or accident. Once they have got some accident, sometime there's a brain stroke and the paralysis happens. So in these two cases, young people, they become handicapped and they have to stick to a bed. They are stuck to a bed for a very longer period of time, or they are on a wheelchair, and in the buttocks, in between the buttocks, you will see the ulcers coming, and I will explain you why. And then there are other people who are very old. So these two categories you have to keep in mind. Now, people who are young and accident cases, I am the only one in the world, our family is the only one in the world, Vaidyaraj Anil, who can guarantee cure of that wound or ulcer that they have got, which is generally either a bed sore or a pressure sore of any kind because of the wheelchair and all. So we are the only ones in the world who can do it cheaply as compared to the rest, and who can almost guarantee complete cure. Now, reason why? The reason is because these are all young people and their immune system is very strong still, in spite of that trauma or the accident that these people have faced. Their immune system is very good. They are eating well, almost normal, and their brain activity is very good. They are talking, they're recognizing people, their brain activity is almost 100%, and their food, intake is almost 100%. These two things are the key for complete cure, for the complete healing of the wound or ulcer. Even with us, with other people, in spite of these two things being there, they will not be able to cure it. And another reason I'm going to tell you a little later. So the first criterion that we ask the person is that how much, both the categories, the elderly people and the young people, we ask the person, whosoever calls us, two questions. One is, how is their brain activity in terms of they've been recognizing people, talking to people, that thing, as compared to when this wound happened or the ailment happened. So let's say they say it is 80% he is well or she is well, in terms of the brain. Then the second question we ask is that how is the food intake? How much percentage it is in comparison to what was normal before they had this particular problem. And if they say it is, let us say they say it is 100%, food is correct, brain activity is, let's say, 80%. I'm just giving you an example. What we immediately tell them is, and you should keep in mind, is that you add 80 to 100, which is 180, and you divide it by 2, it becomes 90. So we tell them that there is a 90% chance that your wound will completely heal. Now say, for example, there is an 80+% and the food intake has become, let us say, 40%, and the brain activity has become, let us say, 50%. They are not able, the brain activity, talking, recognizing people, that has gone down. Then what we do is we again add 50 plus 40 equal to 90 and divide by 2, and we say there is a 45% chance that the wound is going to heal. Now, in one case I said that there is a 80 or 90% chance, the example that I gave, and in another example we said 45%. Now this particular success ratio is not of our wound gel or our wound liquid extract or our gut biome drops. These three things we give to people. That 45% is not of these medicines or our success rate. This 45% chance is that the person having success in terms of having a lengthier life. If these two activities, that means food intake and the brain activity, has diminished to almost, let's say, 40% in terms of, adding the percentages and dividing it, by 2, then there is a 40% chance for that person to survive for the next 1 year. Now at least 1 year is required for the complete wound to heal. Wound is not, they're very big wounds. Wounds is not that, you just, it's a natural process. We basically take care of the infection. I'll come to that very soon. So what happens is that wound healing, the complete closure of the wound, takes a lengthy period of time. It takes up to 7 months, 8 months, 10 months, 12 months, that sort of a thing. So the person should survive, the body should survive to give us the time to heal completely. So when we add these two percentages and divide them by 2 and tell them that this much chance is left for your wound to heal, we basically are talking of the opportunity window that we have got to heal the wound completely. Otherwise, our products, our handmade products, are the only solution. Only, when I say only, ONLY underlined, only solution in the world, including Americas, including Japan's and India's and Singapore's of the world. Open challenge. We are the only ones in the world who can completely heal and cure a non-healing chronic wound. If the window of opportunity is at least a year since we start the application, because it takes that much time. But and we determine the lifespan. We are not gods, but out of experience and historically speaking, we have got these two criterions. How much is the percentage of the the food intake, and how strong is the brain activity left with respect to the normal. Add them up, divide by 2, and that is the percentage that is left for us to heal the wound. I hope you have understood. Because the person has to survive, the body has to survive for quite a few months, for us to. The healing of the wound, will start within a week. In our 5 or 6 applications, you can see that the wound is healing. It's not any person can see, have a look, and wound is not, these are chronic non-healing wounds. But let me tell you, since birth, people, they have got wounds, small or big, and anytime it is healing, you will see the crystallization, and that the wound is healing, or the infection is getting cured, and then the healing process starts. So that is very common for anybody to understand. But the whole process of the closure needs that opportunity to live and survive, and then we can cure 100%. That is why when we say 2 categories, one category is of younger people, so the chances are way more. It is almost like 100%. And we have got references, n number of references, that we have cured people. Anybody can ask, we can give you the phone numbers. And it's impossible for the rest of the world. And there is a very valid reason to that, and I'll come to that. So the thing is, so that is how it is. We ask for these 2. So you can yourself ask these 2 questions and you can determine. Now, one is complete healing, and in certain cases, when the person is 80 or 90 years of age or 75 years of age or more, and the brain activity is gone, almost nil, and the the food intake is also very little. In that case, we provide this service, and you should take it for the dignity of the body. The chances of the person going away is very too much of chance of going for the person to go away. But the dignity but the wounds and the ulcers are so bad, the body just collapses. that at least with our product, with whatever God gives us, the time, the wound is going to look better and better, so that the dignity of the body is maintained. This is not a small thing. When it comes to your loved ones, nobody wants their, their bodies to end up, in a very collapsing way, in a very, very bad situation. So in that case, our the gel and the gel is going to work, the wound gel. Now the purpose changes. You understand? But in some cases, even if the persons are elderly, still, sometimes, the prognosis that they are having, in their other ailments is going to be such that the person can survive for a longer period of time, or sometimes can heal completely also. So that is all providence. So it is utmost important that anybody who has got a pressure sore or a diabetic ulcer or a arterial venous ulcer or a surgical wound at a younger age should immediately get in touch with us without wasting time, because time is of the essence. I will come to that also. Because I'll come to that. And in the case of the elderly people, you can have a chance. You never know. They survive for a way longer period of time, or for at least the dignity of the body before everything ends, unfortunately. Now, why this thing is happening? In the case of the younger people, let us say there is an accident and the person is on a wheelchair. What happens is, in that case, even if the person is eating well and brain activity is very good, you'll be surprised to know that the infection, the bacteria have become superbugs. Now, what do you mean by superbug? And let me tell you, I call myself the world's superbug buster. I'm the only one who can kill the superbugs. That means to kill the infection. What happens is that whenever somebody has got a wound, irrespective of whether it's a healing wound or non-healing wound, those nomenclatures, they come later on. So any person who has got a wound of any kind, in Hindi we call it zakhm. So anytime somebody has got a wound, that wound is supposed to close by itself. You don't need Vaidya Anil or our family or our, herbal medicines, that we create, by hand. You don't need us. Body, it closes the wound by itself. Whatever infection comes, it fights with it, eliminates the infection and closes the wound. It takes time then too, but you can see that it is getting healed. Now, but say for example, if the infection the infection occurs and it does not go away, either by the natural immunity of the body or by the antibiotics which are given or applied, and that infection does not get eliminated, or it remains there or increases, in that case, the natural process of wound healing gets interjected and the wound healing process stalls, and we call it the non-healing chronic wounds. Now, the bugs, when we call it the bacteria and the fungi, they have become so powerful individually and together in a biofilm. We call it the biofilm. They have become so enmeshed and powerful together or individually. We call them the superbugs, that the antibiotics which are available in the world are not able to kill them. So you are stuck. You don't have strong antibiotics anymore. The bugs have eaten and become resistant to these antibiotics for the past 40-50 years. You understand? And now they do not get killed by these antibiotics, and unfortunately newer antibiotics are not in the horizon, and that is why these bugs, they get in touch with other bugs and make them also super bugs. So because their DNA, bugs, the bacteria are such, the microbes are such that they, by mere touching, can incorporate their own DNA onto the other bug and develop antibiotic resistance. So because the antibiotics have stopped working on these superbugs, you will find that that infection is not getting cured or eliminated, and because of that the wound does not close. Now in the case of trauma, the body has already gone through maybe surgery. In the case of paralysis, even if the person is young, and in the case of brain strokes, in the case of paralytic attacks, what happens is that again, the body has gone weak because of so many medicines and procedures, and as such, because of the ailments, the body has become weak. So you will see the problem is two pronged. One is internally the person has become weakened. The immune system has become compromised or weakened because of the trauma or the paralytic attack. Okay? Internally, the weakness is there. It can't fight with those those bugs, those infections. And secondly, the over and above that, the infection has become super bacterial or super fungal or both. And because of that, even in young people also, these infections are not getting eliminated, and because of that, the wound does not get closed or healed properly. In some cases it gets closed, but within it also, when you just press it, you will see that there is pain and it is not yet completely healed. In lots of surgical cases, surgical wounds, this is found out. So everything boils down to two things. One is the body immunity, and the other is the superbacterial infection. Body immunity in the case of people of, like aged people of age, what happens is you will find that, diabetic people, they are taking so much of oral medicine, tough medicines of diabetes. They are taking insulin, they are taking lifestyle diseases, medicines like high blood pressure, cholesterol, you name it. And any chemical that enters your body makes your liver weaker. And liver and your gut microbiome, that also gets absurd or messed up because of these chemical medicines. So when these two together, the liver and the gut microbiome, which you can research it out in YouTube searches, in TEDx lectures about gut microbiome. It's very, very important. Now this liver and the gut together, they form the immunity of the body. So imagine if somebody is taking a lifestyle drug like high blood pressure, diabetes, insulins, cholesterol, so many other drugs on a daily basis. Both of these two things in that particular person are totally gone. They're totally weakened. They're totally compromised. And we call these bodies as immunocompromised bodies. And you will find at the age of 55 plus, 99% of the bodies in this world immunocompromised. They are taking all these chemical, like so-called very tough, very toxic, yet called lifestyle disease medicines on a daily basis for a very long period of time. And if in such cases some untoward thing happens, let's say paralysis or brain stroke happens, or let's say some surgical procedure was done and it did not get healed, so happens, then the immune system collapses even more. And if these superbugs, they happen to be on the bed, because now they are everywhere. The superbugs, they're everywhere. They are even on my body. We have got 100 trillion bugs, within us, in the gut and on our body. And when we meet anybody, there are bugs all around. So the superbugs are there, but they do not hurt me or most of the people, because their immunity is still strong. But in the case of immunocompromised people who have got some problems, especially in the hospital area or even at home also, you will find that the infections happen and they do not get healed. The bodies become weak and the bones are heavier, and that part is getting abrasive, and because of that abrasiveness, the first stage wound happens, and if the bugs enter it, then they create an infection which is superbacterial, and the bugs, they multiply very fast. In 20 minutes they can double their population, and in no time, in 6-7 days, you will see that from one stage, from a very small abrasive rashes kind of a stage, in such people, in such cases, the wound has become very deep and very big, and you get surprised that how come this thing is happening. Just 7 days back there was nothing, because that, and now the antibiotics do not work. But unfortunately, the doctors, they keep on giving the antibiotics because they have got no other weapons left. Now, if antibiotics were working, or the betadines were working, or the silver dressing were working, these wounds would not have happened in the first place. That is the pure, plain and simple answer to not using these things beyond a point. Otherwise, they are not working anyways. If they were working, the wound would have healed. But over and above that, they are making the immune system even more weaker. So creating bigger problem for you, for your loved one. So the first thing is basically to stop the antibiotics, if they have not worked till now. And that till now should not be too long, because then the immune system is also getting compromised. It was already compromised, now it has become even more weakened. And then that brain activity and the food percentage that comes into picture becomes even less, you'll find. So the chances of complete healing of the wound becomes even lesser. So you have to be very smart. You have to understand what I'm saying here. These things, they might seem very small to you, when I'm talking, but they are very, very, very important, and they are very, very serious issues. And you must, reconfirm what I have said in Google search, in YouTube searches, and you will know. Now, we are the only ones in the world who can kill the superbugs. You'll be surprised to know that Alexander Fleming created the first antibiotic, and since in 1930s, and since then there are 5 generations of antibiotics which have all stopped working on these superbugs, which have become resistant, which have understood the working and created defense mechanisms to fight these antibiotics, and they have become impotent. The world is looking for these antibiotics, and I discovered them about 5-7 years back. And we have got certificates from the most prominent international lab in India called the Shri Ram Institute for Industrial Research in New Delhi. This is not a small it's a very, very, very respectable big lab, the Shri Ram Institute for Industrial Research. And we have got the bioefficacy test certificates against superbugs for our herbal medicine. We have killed the Pseudomonas aeruginosa, which is the gram-negative superbug. 99.99% kill. We have a certificate to that, and we can furnish it anytime. It is on our website also, curechronicwounds.com. Okay. We have killed the MRSA, the gram-positive superbug, methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. We have killed the gram-negative superbug E. coli. And when you kill all these three, you are the master. You are the masters of microbiology. You can kill these pathogens. You can treat so many diseases, including the infections of the superbugs, because of which the wound becomes a non-healing and a chronic wound or ulcer. And what the rest of the world is giving you? It is giving you very costly and very low success rate, as low as 5% procedures like hyperbaric oxygen therapy, like collagen therapy, like negative pressure wound machines therapy, like big antibiotics which will make you even weaker, strongest multi antibiotics. This is not. You already, in the case of the elderly people, you already have a very little chance. Imagine that chance finishes if you go through these things. And in the case of younger people, the body becomes even more weaker, and their chances are also become they get reduced. Now, in the case of arterial venous ulcers, the ones which are on your leg, lower leg, right above the ankle, you find people with varicose vein issues. Sometimes these veins get so swollen and they burst, or there is an accident and they burst, and that wound does not get healed. They spend lakhs and lakhs of rupees putting stents into the wound, and they say that the oxygen is not reaching there. That is why it is not healing. But let me tell you, with our application of our wound gel and the gut microbiome drops, which you can drink, as well as you can do the naval administration, the belly button unique administration, or you can do the belly button alone without even taking it inside. Once you see the miracle of these herbal medicines from India, you will be more than willing to even take a few drops, these herbal drops, on a daily basis, even later on. Now imagine those those arterial and venous ulcers. They do multiple operations. The stents don't work. They fail. Then they keep on doing it, and ultimately they give up and they say, "Okay, you go away." In surgical wounds, when they are not healing, they are putting betadine and the silver, and they have got very fancy procedures for adding some pure silver into it and all. No, these things are not going to work. The 5th generation antibiotic and the multiple generation antibiotics do not kill the superbugs. What the silver and betadine is going to do? You're going to end the life. Our chances with our gel also are going to get reduced. So beware. This is the superbugs we are talking about. You research them out, you'll come to know. Now, people with diabetes, see the problem. You should study my another video on my YouTube channel, Vaidya Rajanil, about diabetes. And even though things maybe have become very old, still you might learn a few things for yourself, if not for others. So these people with diabetes has been diagnosed, and people are taking the diabetic oral medicines and insulins for so long, so many years now. and other lifestyle diseases, that their liver, the gut microbiome, everything has got totally mashed up. The immune system is almost zero. And when you age, the immune system, that also weakens it. So what happens is that the diabetic neuropathy seeps in. They call it the diabetic neuropathies. In all the extremities, the feet, the big toe, all the toes and everything, and also the finger, the thumb, the extremities of the body. They say the oxygen, the sensation, they lose the sensation, and they call it the diabetic neuropathy. And if some small wound happens there, then they are not able to feel anything. And when the infection happens there, and especially the superbug infection, which is out there for everybody, to experience. But in the case of people who are immunocompromised, it hurts, it settles down, it multiplies faster, it overpowers, becomes a very, very, very difficult infection or the wound. And then because of this diabetic neuropathy, because the sensation is lost. And then they say, then the same thing, about these procedures they do, and it is not going to help. Now, in that case, our gut microbiome drops. They might increase the immunity of the body, God willing, if there is good life left. And there is in lots of people, except people who are of very big age. Okay. So the gut microbiome, how it works, you can see our videos in our channel again. We have got a video on gut microbiome separately made. So what happens is that, and this is our wound gel. And this is the liquid extract. This liquid extract, which is very powerful for the wound. This is specifically for the wound gel and the wound liquid extract. The liquid extract is not required unless the person has got osteomyelitis. That means the bone infection. And mind you, the bone infection will also not heal easily even with this, because generally the bone infections don't heal very easily. But it can contain it without a person having antibiotics forever. And that is what people do in India and in America. They have antibiotics on a daily basis forever. That is something which is very, very hurting, very, very bad. It's traumatizing. With this herbal gel, there is a 80% chance that the infection will completely heal. And in 20% of the cases, you have to keep on applying it for a little longer period of time. Or you can contain it. That is all your lottery if it happens. But it is going to help. This is the only thing that can help. And it does help. Because it has got that greatness which is certified against the superbugs. That's not a small thing. It's a Nobel Prize winning discovery, mind you guys. Unfortunately, coming from India, people, you expect people, from the Howards and the John Hopkins of the world to create such a great, to discover such a great thing. But we have done it for a very long period of time, and we have helped very many people within India. Yeah, but the only thing is that, our publicity is not too much because of our financial constraints. We don't, that sort of a thing. So that is why, by word of mouth, it takes time to reach. And if you guys, understand what I'm explaining here, the importance and the seriousness of this issue, and you want to help other people, kindly spread my video so that more and more people get helped. And you'll be doing a society a favor. It's not something that, you'll oblige me. I don't need. I serve people, and I gainfully serve a lot of people. Now the diabetic ulcer, I'll come back to that. Once because the diabetes is also there, the body is totally immunocompromised because of diabetic drugs, then the chance of the infection spreading into the blood, it increases, and that is called sepsis, and that leads to multiple organ failures. And in the case of sepsis, you'll find that the brain activity is almost finished, and it's just a matter of time that the person goes away. Got it? Now, in terms of gangrene, those infections in the big toe or the thumb, what you will find is, and sometimes the heel area, it turns into gangrene. Gangrene means necrosis. That means the blood does not reach there. Ultimately, it becomes dead. Nobody can revive, not even me, can revive that gangrene portion. It has to be debridement has to be done. It has to be debrided, or it has to be amputated. Now, with our the wound gel and the gut microbiome drops, what you can suggest your doctor or the surgeon is to basically debride or amputate it to the as lesser an extent as possible after application of the wound gel. Okay? Because the healing, he can minimize that amputation. Let me tell you, if 70% of the thumb or the big toe is left, that is way better than having none. Totally gone. You understand? So it's very important. It's very important. It's not a small thing. And let me tell you, if a person has got gangrene and they don't take care of the immune system of the body, then you will find that every year, more or less, you'll find another part gangrened and another amputation in line. In order to save yourself, then you have to take our advice that, with the help of the gut microbiome drops, make sure, and the advice. Sometimes, the medicine once you understand the logic, you have to contain yourself. You don't have to increase that chemical medicine intake. Otherwise, the immune system will go haywire. It's already gone haywire. And then the gangrene or the sepsis or the next wound, it will automatically come. So then the advice becomes very important. For that advice, you go through my video regarding diabetes, regarding gut microbiome, and this video. Make notes out of it. Have your loved ones make notes out of it. Thank God that I'm making it in English, because my other video, the link I'm going to put in the description, the other video that has been there for a very longer period of time, there were a couple of others, and they were all in Hindi language. And lots of people wanted me to do it in English. So let me. So what we can do in the case of gangrene is to have the amputation reduced to a certain level, and with the help of the gut microbiome, help you improve your immune system so that the next amputation of the gangrene does not happen. And obviously, but let me tell you, the gangrene gets increased also very fast. It's all bacteria. So you have to take action very fast. They might say that, if you don't amputate it immediately, the sepsis would happen and, you could die. That they may be true. That could be true. But the thing is that, sometimes, because they don't have those tools, and they say whatever they have, they present whatever they have or whatever they know. So which is more power to them. I don't blame them. I blame, those lifestyle disease medicines that have happened, for 10, 15 years that the person have been taking and made themselves immunocompromised. And you will see more and more, millions and billions or more people getting immunocompromised in this world, because now it has become a fashion. They are so afraid that they want to, as soon as they reach 50 years of age or even before, they want to have they are so scared of death or heart attack, that they are ready to take, whatever is prescribed to them, the high blood pressure drugs, the thyroids and the cholesterols and so many things. So we have got the videos and the explanation, but who basically understands it, or has the willpower or the patience to understand it, it all depends on your luck. So in the case, so to summarize everything, what I'm saying is that if, say for example, you have got a wound ulcer because of an accident or a brain stroke, and you are younger, and your food intake and the brain activity is still pretty good, that means above 50%, you please do not waste time and get in touch with me. WhatsApp me at 9810260704. Write their wound gel, okay, and I'll get back to you. So the thing is, so because longer you wait, longer your immune system is going to become weaker, so chances are going to become little lesser. So it is better, if the product is available in this world, you better rush. And in the case of people who are, like, let's say, of elder age, but not that too much of an age, and they are still eating well, and brain activity is good, you should also not wait. Now in the case of 80 plus people or 85 plus people who are basically, who have got, unfortunately, those big ulcers, you kindly, and then the food activity is not there, intake is not good, or the brain activity is also very little. In that case, more power to you guys. You guys can use my product for the dignity of the body of your loved one. That is very, very important, and miracles can also happen. So I hope I have explained everything. So this wound gel is required, and the gut microbiome drops. These, you have to apply the wound gel once every alternate day for the first 10 applications, and after that once every day. And you have to keep it open for minimum 30 to 40 minutes, or as long as you can, and then just put a small gauze, dressing, the tape, the netted, bandages over it, and then have a heavy a big ball of cotton, and just place it and tape it. Nothing else. No modern technology, nothing required. Only you have to apply it with you can apply with your hand, or you can have cover your hand and then apply. Doesn't matter, don't worry. Because of this, the infection will never come to you. You apply it all over. If it is in depth, you apply all over. You put that gauze bandage into it, after wrapping it up nicely, and then you have to keep it open. After application of the wound gel, you keep it open, okay, for as long as you can, minimum 30-40 minutes, and then you put a bandage, and then you can put a big ball and just take off cotton and tape it. That's all you have to do. That is, so the big ball of cotton is required, because in order to prevent abrasion. Okay, that's it. And you can do it alternate days for the first 10 applications, and later on you can do it every day. Once a day is enough, and you will see the healing process has already, the wound is going to, you look at the wound and you'll see it is improved, it is healing. And the case of the drops, there are two ways of doing it. One is, if the person is very healthy and comparatively healthy, and eating well and everything, he can start with taking half a glass of warm water and 2 drops into it once a day. And before sleeping at night, just lay down, and in their belly button you add 4 drops and let them remain in for 15 minutes. After that, you just swipe that water around the navel or the belly button. That's all you have to do. And if somebody is hesitant about taking even a herbal product intake, you can only do the belly button, and still your immune system is going to become stronger. And once you like it, if somebody is taking it once a day, you can later on try it for a few weeks, twice a day, 30 minutes before or after any 2 meals, or any 1 meal, if in case you are taking it once. But the nabhi is a must. That belly button is a must. That is very, very powerful. So you will see the stools passing out, and the hunger and the digestion, everything improve. That means your immunity is getting improved, the gut microbiome is getting improved, the liver is getting improved. Okay, so with the that naval administration and the application of the wound gel, and in the case of osteomyelitis, our liquid wound extract, let me tell you, you are on to the path of recovery. And God bless you. I hope I have made everybody understand things quite clearly. You can see the website, if I can write it down there, and you can when you WhatsApp, I'll send you the write-up also, how to basically get the medicines and all. So God bless you. I hope I have made you understand things better. God bless you. Thank you. Jai Hind.